You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. You look good, Coach.
Well, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. It is Thursday, May 1st. Happy May Day to everyone out there. I don't know if you guys did this when you were younger or with younger kids, but we make May baskets at the Randazzo house. I don't know if you will this year. Probably more baseball than anything else tonight. But when the kids were younger, my wife would always make May baskets and deliver them to family, friends, all that kind of stuff. So anyways, I don't know if you guys do that, but happy May Day, May 1st. A lot to get to today. If you're watching live on YouTube, we appreciate that. Please subscribe, like, rate, all of the things that help us out. Also, tell a friend or two or 20 or 30 about what we do each and every weekday right here in the Quad Cities, Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, 10 a.m. every weekday. We're also live on X. We appreciate everyone who checks out the show on X each and every day. And of course, the show goes up on all the podcasting platforms as well. So as soon as the show gets done, it gets up on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, you name it, it's up there. So go check out the show on all the podcasting platforms as well. Before we get to what we have today, excited about today's show. Finally figured out all my technology yesterday. Shocked I got a show on yesterday. I'm proud of myself, but everything's good to go today. So, and I got to thank my friend Dane Miller for always helping me out and dealing with me throughout the day when I don't know what's going on technology-wise. So thank you to him. But before we talk about today's show, coming up tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we'll have Iowa head football coach Kirk Ferentz joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. So super excited about that. Tomorrow we have Coach Ferentz. We'll have a lot to get to when it comes to football in Iowa City and a lot more. But for today's show, speaking of Iowa athletics, coming up in a matter of moments, Chad Leistikow from the Des Moines Register will joining us. My good friend. We'll talk plenty of Iowa football, Iowa basketball, some women's basketball. Also, this young lady named Caitlin Clark is coming back to Carver Hawkeye this weekend as well. So a lot to get to with Chad Leistikow, one of the best in the business, coming up in a matter of moments. Also, because of the technology yesterday, we kind of postponed Steamwheeler Wednesday. So Steamwheeler Thursday, brought to you by XUSD, will be today. Malik Duncan will join us a little later in the show. And it's also Throwback Thursday. We started a few Thursdays ago. Didn't do it last week because of the remote show out at Oscar's Pub. But a couple weeks ago, we had Jim Mertens, former WQAD news anchor. Today, we go from Jim Mertens to Jason Fechner, another former WQAD news anchor and a good friend of mine. So Jason Fechner in hour number 2 of the show. That'll be a lot of fun. Of course, Monday's show had Lexi Rodriguez on it, Pat Anger, and a bunch more. On Tuesday, we caught up with the Van Wetzingas, both Joey and Rusty. Also new North Scott head coach Tony Stewart, Ked Prince, a lot on Tuesday. Yesterday, new Bureau Valley head coach Pat Elder and Tom Kakert bailed me out by actually coming over to the house and being part of the show as well. So go check out all the shows this week as well. But we get going today with a very familiar face for me and a guy who knows everything you need to know when it comes to Iowa athletics. Chad Leistikow, I miss you, my friend. Not just Hawkeye stuff, but other leisurely stuff we like to partake in here and there, especially maybe during the winter. So how are you? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. I got a little bit of a cough, so I'm going to mute myself when I'm not talking, so hopefully I sound okay. But yeah, doing well. I'm not a big sports gambler when it comes to NBA, hockey, baseball for sure. I kind of stay away from that stuff. So you might maybe Tom Kakert gave us one NBA play the other day, and it was a big fat loser. So I just got to stay away.
Yeah, we'll chat. It's been good for me right now, but it's scary. It's always scary. Baseball's dicey, to say the least. Have you taken a deep breath after, women's basketball, that great run, the men's coaching search, football going on spring? I know there's never a chance really to take a huge deep breath, but do you get to decompress a little bit maybe this time of year?
Not yet. No. Typically, every year I feel like in this job, I always tell myself, and I tell my wife this too, I'm like, okay, after March Madness, it's going to cool off. And then I always forget, every year I forget that April is like worse than March Madness because you don't know what's going to happen. Like at least March, you know when the games are.
Yeah.
You know, as once a team gets eliminated, blah blah blah. This year we had a coaching search, obviously in March, which was a new wrinkle for those of us on the Iowa beat. That's pretty rare.
Yeah.
But yeah, April with the portal now. Obviously, NFL draft is a big topic for Iowa every year. Iowa football. Iowa basketball, men's basketball has really been in the news a lot. And even certainly the prior to April's, we've been covering live women's basketball at the Final Four into the first week of April. So, yeah, it's, I would say like, oh, it's finally going to get better like now. But then you got the Caitlin Clark game Sunday. Yesterday I interviewed Ben McCullum and Jan Jensen in the same morning. Jeez. And then, and then my buddy Tyler interviewed Kirk up here in Des Moines, actually. So, it's like it doesn't stop right now. But I'm hoping, I don't know, like soon through about mid-July, it kind of eases up. I mean, I have vacation coming up, so I have to take some time off at some point.
Well, you deserve it because you are busy. And you have a ton to talk to today. I think I want to start with football, and then we'll get into your busy morning yesterday because you got not one but two Iowa basketball coaches. But the spring game is in and done. Do you have a headline or something that popped out to you? Not just in the spring game, because I know you don't get a lot maybe there, but this spring, what's the headline for you when you think Iowa football this spring?
Yeah, I think the headline is Iowa has wide receivers now, and that to me is the bigger headline. Maybe passing game, you could say go hand in hand there. Passing game definitely, the word was, throughout spring and leading up to the spring game that the passing game had taken some steps forward. Obviously, the bar is extremely low for the last 3 years for Iowa football in the passing game, maybe 4 years, maybe 5 years actually. But that we saw that take shape, I guess, in the spring game, and that it validated kind of what we had been hearing. And if you look at just the downfield passing plays that we saw, and some of these were against the first team defense, some against the second, some against the third, but it was consistent, and we've just not seen that very often. And I don't think it's a reflection of the talent on the back end of Iowa's defense. I mean, TJ Hall, Deshaun Lee, Cohen Entringer, Zach Lutmer, they were all playing the other day. Those guys played a lot of snaps. But Jackson Stratton in particular, I thought was really good through the air. And to me, they finally have receivers. It's been a position of major weakness since 2019, 2020, I would say 2020. They were good there still, but since 21, it's been rough, and now they have wide receivers. And so what does that mean for this offense this fall with Mark Gronowski? That's going to be the exciting next step to see what happens.
Chad, is there a wide receiver one? I had Tommy here yesterday and asked who's, and there might be competition for that because you mentioned you can start rambling off names and this guy's looked good. Seth Anderson, if he can stay healthy, looks good. Is there a wide receiver one or two, or how does that group start shaking out?
I'd be curious to know what Tom said, but don't tell me yet. Don't tell me. I'm going to say Reese Vanderzee. He looked like to me a guy that has taken that year one to year two jump. A lot of times you hear about that. I would say more so like in basketball maybe, but like in this case, he just looks like a veteran player already. And this is his first spring. I mean, he's still technically a freshman in college, but he made a lot of really nice catches the other day. And we had seen some videos shared throughout spring of him making some spectacular catches. I mean, this is a guy that's basically 6'4", 210, great athleticism, great hands. And he was talking pretty recently about how much speed he's gained in his time at Iowa. And so you put all that together, and Iowa has an X receiver. And to me, if they have an X receiver on the outside, he's going to be playing a lot of snaps because you always need an X. And that means he's going to get a lot of targets. And based on what we saw in the spring, it feels like he's a reliable target, a target these quarterbacks can trust. So I'm going to say he's going to be the QB1. What did Tommy Kakert say?
Jacob Gill, number one. He had Vanderzee too, and then he had Seth Anderson is just that like intriguing guy because if he can stay healthy, Kind of like with Carson Shire on the defensive end, like the talent is there. You see it. It's just whether he can stay healthy to do it. But I mean, and Chad, it is interesting because like that's to have depth there is exciting. It's something different. Talk about the quarterback room. Obviously Gronowski's there. He's number one. But that thing's been totally remade. And then they brought in the transfer Helinski.
Helinski. It looks like Jeremy Hellickson, but it's Jeremy Hecklinski. Yes,
Hecklinski.
Right.
That
I wonder if you
room,
could spell Hellickson with all the letters there. You probably could.
I think you probably could.
Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
It's been completely remade. And how does that look, not just next year, but moving forward? Because our good friend Tom Cakert's on the Hank tank, he likes to call it. He loves Hank Brown.
Oh, boy.
But you got
we know how these things work out.
I
Rock
know.
Harding's gone. Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad. He had Petrus Island. He had all this stuff, and he just jinxes guys with his man crushes. But talk about the quarterback room, because it does look a lot different and much improved under less than a year with Tim Lester on campus.
Yeah, in fact, Kirk Ferentz, again, last night, my buddy Tyler, my colleague, was part of those interviews last night, and Ferentz had a really nice comment, a pertinent comment, I should say, that like they're hoping that by bringing in Hecklinski, they've got Hank Brown now, they got Jackson Stratton, who looked really good the other day, you got Jimmy Sullivan, you got Pat Fitzgerald's son Ryan coming in, they've got already one class of 2026 commit at the QB position, they're going for another, so he's hoping they're getting to the point where they don't have to go to the portal every year for, their starting quarterback. You think about the last few years, their best quarterback, was McNamara, and then Hill, Sullivan, and now Gronowski. So, their last four quarterbacks essentially, not that Hill was a big ticket acquisition, but the last four quarterbacks have been in the portal, and Stratton was too, actually. So, they're hoping to get to that point. But the room looks a lot better. I mean, I thought in the spring game, Brown looked okay, but I thought Jackson Stratton really looked good. And then Ferentz said kind of in a subsequent interview, that was the best day Jackson Stratton had all spring, and that Tim Lester had said a few days before that Stratton had been really hot and cold this spring, so good days and bad. So I think we saw a good day of Jackson Stratton, but nonetheless, he looked really good. And so that gives you more – I mean, if that's your battle for number two, even without Brendan Sullivan, I think you feel pretty good about things right now. I think Jimmy Sullivan clearly is in development mode. I wouldn't expect him to be a factor this year. But you never know with this Jeremy Hecklinski guy. I mean, he's he was a pretty good recruit for Wake Forest. He had 1 year there, so this will be his second year in college. So I'm not saying he's going to be competing for anything, but that could be we might just look back on this little acquisition here as something more interesting down the road. Like I remember last summer when Jackson Stratton came, like it was like, what the? I mean, why do they need another walk-on quarterback? Like what? And then all of a sudden he's throwing passes in the Rose Bowl, last November. So you never know on how these things work out. But I like the quarterbacks room altogether, and obviously Gronowski's way ahead of schedule, so that's huge news for Iowa.
Absolutely. Chad Leistikow joining us right now. Chad, offense and defense. Our good friend Tommy he's felt more confident on offense going into next year maybe than defense, which sounds like just weird for Iowa football. I think I knew what he meant, but is that a statement that you can make, is that there's more maybe knowns on offense besides the quarterback, but he's got a lot of tape and he's been around a long time, and that the defense might have more questions than normal in Iowa City this fall?
Yeah, I think the reason I think Tom would say that, and I totally agree, is the offensive line is going to be in really good shape, especially now that we've got comforting word that Jennings Dunker will be back after his operation by August. So that's a good sign because he's their best offensive lineman. You get Logan Jones back. You have Bo Stevens as a third-year starter. They bring in Bryce George from Ferris State. Cade Pieper looks the part at right guard. I think their offensive line, if they can stay healthy, is going to be better than last year's. And Bo Stevens even told me that in the spring, like that he thinks it's going to be better this year. And so that's a good sign. And they were pretty good last year, obviously. So, and then I feel great about the running backs, honestly. Like Kamari Moulton looks good. Terrell Washington Jr., I think is going to be a major factor in this offense this year. Jazz Patterson hasn't gone anywhere. And then even, just go down the line, Xavier Williams, interesting piece, Nathan McNeil, true freshman who's on campus doing well. Brevin Dahl, I really like him a lot. He was hurt this spring, so didn't really get lost some development time there. But they're 6 deep, solidly 6 deep at running back right now. So yeah. And then, if you want to flip the defense, I mean, it's just more unknowns just because you lost guys, but I'm not like worried about it or anything like that. I think it's going to be okay and decent, enough to win games. But can it be elite? I don't know. We'll have to kind of see how the linebackers develop. How big of a drop-off is there to Jaden Harrell and Carson Shire? Do they have a number 2 corner? Because we saw last year when you don't have 2 good corners, teams can pick on that. And so they don't have a number 2 corner just yet. TJ Hall, we think, is going to be number 1, but number 2, a lot of competition right now. Deshaun Lee, Shaheed Barrows, they just brought in from South Dakota, Jalen Watson, Rashad Godfrey, and I don't think they're done yet. So, there are questions there, but it's not like you're like so worried about it because you have Phil Parker and Seth Wallace and Kelvin Bell back there.
Yeah, usually if you say Phil Parker's leading something, it's going to turn out okay. Chad Leistikow joining us right now. One more football question for you. You just did a great piece on it, but the numbers, and we've kind of talked about it around here because they're down to 105. Everything's been cut kind of when it comes to the size of the roster. And you got people from the Quad Cities, Chad, like Rusty Van Wetzinga, who recently probably was on numbers crunching away. But you look back at the walk-on, and it's just from my area. Forget like the state and like those type of people. But Jake Gervais, Brett Greenwood was outstanding. I even think Julian Vandervelde was like a gray shirt where he walked on his first year before he got a scholarship. So it's been big here in the area, and we've seen the effect maybe on Rusty Van Wetzinga, and then obviously his brother Joey leaves with him. But that whole situation, I know Kirk talked about it a little bit, and I want to talk to him about it tomorrow, but it's got to be frustrating for a program like the University of Iowa that doesn't just go get a bunch of 5-star kids, that they develop, and a lot of times they develop from the walk-on program. I thought your article was spot on. Kind of just talk about that situation, because I know it's got a little frustrations when it comes to what's going on when it comes to University of Iowa.
Yeah, a lot of layers there. Another guy that, as you just were ticking off guys, I mean, Riley Moss was like a gray shirt, 2-star gray shirt. Might have even been a blue shirt. I can't even remember. There's a lot of shirts, but Moss, he would have been, I think he probably would have made the 105 initially, but that was not, that's another guy that's kind of on that fringe again. Do you take him? Do you not? And they did, and obviously he became a 3rd-round draft pick, Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year. So, yeah, just the list goes on and on. Farron saying the other day, he counted up 8 captains during his era were former walk-ons. So, and it's not like you're not going to have walk-ons, so I don't want to it's not like to that level, because Iowa's plan is to have 85 scholarships and 20 walk-ons. So, yeah, to get to the 105. So it's not like the walk-ons are going away, but it's basically going down to a handful every year as opposed to, maybe bringing in 10, 12, seeing who works out. So you got to really have a good hit rate there. Now, to Iowa's credit, and that was part of the article that I wrote, because as you come out of spring, to me, one of the biggest stories is they've done a heck of a job in the portal filling needs. I mean, one reason I'm not as worried about defensive tackle is because they got Jonah Pace and Bryce Hawthorne, who have been – everything they wanted so far in defensive tackle. They're not going to be misses. So you feel better about defensive tackle. Obviously, you feel way better about quarterback. Sam Phillips, we'll see at wide receiver, but then they bring in Bryce George, and now they brought in 2 defensive backs here, and now another quarterback. So that's 9 portal pieces so far, and you feel like every one of them has a purpose. So give credit to Kirk Ferentz for sure. That when I did this story, I was asking around behind the scenes a little bit, like, who should I be giving like some of the credit to? And I kept coming back to 2 people. Now there's a lot, but 2 people in particular, which was Tyler Barnes and Kirk Ferentz. Like, Kirk Ferentz is working his ass off, like behind, like he is not like just sitting back and saying, okay, Tim, go get us guys. Okay, Tyler, go get us guys. Like, he is very active in this stuff. And so I think just they are ready. You know, Kirk has always kind of wanted to be like the NFL. So I think in some ways, ultimately, this is not a bad thing for Iowa. And I think they've done a good job recalibrating, I guess. You know, their roster is really solid right now. Like, there's not a lot of fat on the roster. I think cutting down to this 105, even though, you know, it could burn them, as Ferentz said, I think has been good for them because they've successfully kept their best guys. And, you know, the guys that are maybe 106, 110, 115, you know, it stinks that they have to go, or, you know, and maybe they didn't have to altogether, but I think Iowa's done a good job figuring out who the guys are that they need to have on the roster. And just like an NFL team would, you know, you can't keep everybody in the NFL. It's much smaller. And I think Ferentz has that experience. I think Tyler Barnes has that mindset. So I do like how Iowa has shaped its roster despite the 105 challenges.
Absolutely. I have Kirk Ferentz on tomorrow. Hopefully I do a good job, as good a job as like a Chad Leistikow. I feel like I should just have Chad be here to interview Kirk and I can just support it so I don't mess it up. But football is always going to be something that it doesn't have an off season. I know it's spring's done, but we're going to be talking about, preview stuff's coming out soon. So Iowa football right around the corner again. Kirk Ferentz tomorrow right here on OTA. Basketball-wise, how'd you get 2 coaches in one day? Were you stalking people, or how'd that happen?
I know. Yeah, well, so the day started with me, you know, I got up very early here where I live in west of Des Moines, and drove over at a 9:30 to 11 a.m. window with Jan Jensen because I'm doing a story for next Sunday's Register on her year 1 as Hawkeye women's coach, and then moving into year 2 because the timing for next Sunday's paper, Mother's Day, it's basically 1 year to when Bluter retired.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was a good idea, and she agreed to it. So we did. We had a whole podcast is up too. It's already up. You can listen to it, hawkcentral.com. It's like 50 minutes maybe that we aired, and then there's another 30 or so that we interviewed off the air. But anyway, so while I was over there, I was like, hey, you know, like, is Ben McCollum around? Like, I could just kind of check in with him about the portal. And he's like right there. And he's like, yeah, just give me 45 minutes. And then, you know, these coaches get busy. 45 minutes turn into an hour and a half. But I stuck around, and then I got about 8 minutes with him. And it was so I got both coaches, both head coaches for basketball. Just kind of a fluky thing to get McCollum the day after he was in Carroll for the I Club. But he was great. You know, he understands the importance of building relationships with the media, because that's how you communicate to your fans. And I've gotten great feedback. It was an 8-minute interview, but I've gotten great feedback on the article. Nothing I did, but it's like, yeah, it's nice to hear from the head coach again. You know, he's talking about the roster and what he likes and what they still need, and like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's great. You know, it gets people talking. I mean, that's what generates interest. That's why, like, people go to games. It's because they're just generating interest, you know, like the coach understands that. So I just like everything McCollum's done so far, even just going to that 8-minute interview yesterday. Yeah,
it builds excitement. What did you get out of the 8 minutes? Is there something that you found out that you didn't think you'd find out? Or was it like what was your main takes from the 8 minutes?
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway, and again, that story's up at hawkcentral.com as well, and I think I tweeted it out this morning, but I think the biggest thing that I learned was, because I asked him, you know, do you need a big? You know, because they really don't have like a true big. They don't have like, you know, I would say they don't have like an Owen Freeman or a Evan Bronze even, you know, from last year. So, and he's like, no, we don't. Like, he'd love to have one. He's like, can you get me one? And, you know, he's like, we play positionless basketball. And I was like, who do you need at the 5? He's like, well, I don't use positions. Like, we have a point guard, and you know he's a good point guard coach. But after that, it's like the best players play. And I think you saw that at Drake too. I mean, you got to have some size in the Big Ten, obviously. But he's like, if we have to go 4 guys that are 6'7", 6'8", which rings true on his roster when you talk about Alvaro Folgueras, you talk about Cooper Koch, Cam Manyow, Tavion Banks. I mean, all those guys are in that 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" range. You know, if they need to win like that, and win with 5 shooters on the floor, that they're going to try to win like that. So I like the confidence that he has. That was probably my biggest takeaway. It sort of gave me a sense of, maybe, big men are really expensive in the portal right now. And I think they've used their dollars in other ways. I mean, talk about Fulgaris, Sturts, Brendan Hassan. I mean, those guys are really nice pickups for this team. And I feel like if they can get like 1 or 2 more, they're going to have a really good roster this year. I mean, I felt like it was just a good check-in. Seems like momentum's good. He seems confident 5 weeks into the job. And there's certainly a lot of interest, way more interest we're finding, in Iowa men's basketball than there was, 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, Chad, there's a buzz about it. If you look at Drake, and they had a great season, the one thing you always heard, and even we had Josh Sash on the show, and he even talked about their lack of shooting at Drake. It seems like he's targeted and making sure that he's got plenty of shooting on the floor at Iowa City. Is that a safe assumption?
Yeah, I feel like they need a little more. Like, I feel like they could use one more shooter. Now, I think people gloss over, just how good Sturts is. Like, he's going to come with McCollum. Like, okay, but he's like really good.
Yeah.
He's a high percentage shooter. And, would have been, if you told any Iowa fan you're going to get like the number 2 guy in the entire transfer portal with your new coach, like you would be like incredibly thrilled and like hyping this guy up. And Sturts is just kind of not that guy. But between Sturts, Hassan, I mean, I think Cooper Koch is an outstanding shooter. Fulgaris is a 40% shooter from deep. If they can get like one more guy out of the portal that can shoot, that'd be great. He seems pretty high on Isaiah Howard. He was a freshman last year at Drake. He's about a 6'5" wing out of the Kansas City area. So, if who knows what he develops into, but he seems excited about him. So, yeah, I think one more shooter would be good, but it's better. It's a better situation than what he had at Drake because he's got big guys that can shoot the outside shot too.
One more men's basketball for you. I don't want to keep you forever. I could literally do the whole show with Chad Leistikow, and that's your fault, not mine. That's yours. Does Iowa need a starter? Obviously, they want to add a few more pieces. Is you mentioned a shooter? Do they need a starter, or do they have? Are they set there? Your thoughts? I talked to Tommy about it. See what you say.
Yeah, I'm not going to say – I'm sure they're not content, but I feel good about it. I mean, I feel good that, you think about, Fulgaris. I mean, I think Koch is a starter. I mean, I don't know if he is right away, but I think he's a starter level. Maniau for sure is a starter. I mean, if Koch is your 3, Maniau your 4, Fulgaris your 5, or vice versa, and you got Hassan at 2 and Sturts at 1, I think that's a good starting lineup. You got Tavion Banks. He was the 6th man of the year in the Valley. Why not be 6th man of the year in the Big Ten, or 6th man off the bench for McCollum, Isaiah Howard? And then you throw in, Trevin Urach probably is going to get a few minutes in the front court. Cale Combs will get, some time. I feel like I said, I feel like they need one more wing probably, or guard or ball handler. But I don't know. What did Tom say? I feel like that those could be your 5. And
a big.
Maybe sub out Koch and have him come off the bench, but I think you're close.
He got mad at me. I think it was on his podcast, or the podcast, the Hawkeye Report podcast. I said, "Hey, what's your starters?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm not going to do that." Like, cranky Tom sometimes. I'm like, "What? Like, you can do it.
What the heck?
You can have fun with it." And I think you're right. I think Banks and Koch are one of the two, but I think
interchangeable.
Koch,
yeah,
if he's healthy. Chad, I've seen him play. I've seen him play in person, and I think this.
Yeah.
I think he's really good. So, I think he's coming to the Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf Outing, which Chad Leistikow should tee up in as well. So, I mean, he's already, you know how I get. You take care of me, I become a spokesperson for you, aka Brock Harding and Owen Freeman. So, Chad Leistikow joining us right now. Let's talk a little women's basketball. You sat there for an hour and a half with Coach Jensen. What did you get out of her? And obviously she's got to be happy with year 1 and excited about the future as well.
Yeah. She deems year 1 a success. And I think you'd have to say that, especially, if you really look back at her first year, so much change. I mean, incredible amount of change. I mean, I think people gloss over the fact that she lost, Iowa lost not only Lisa Bluter, but essentially had to replace Jan Jensen as associate head coach. And then also Jenny Fitzgerald, who was their best scouter. I mean, you essentially replace, a lot of wisdom on that coaching staff. And now you lose Raina Harmon too. I mean, that's also been part of her first year. So 3 brand new coaches aboard, all told, counting Lysandra Barrett. You had to bring in Lucy Olson, get that all to work. 5 freshmen. Now you lose Aaliyah Guyton. It's just been a lot this year. And so, I think year 1 has been, I think all in all, a success for her to get to the second round of the NCAA tournament, win 23 games, make a really nice run late in the season where you're one of the best teams in the Big Ten. You beat USC. What did I learn? I mean, I think they're looking still in the portal. Like they could use a forward probably, ideally, but she does like where their roster sits right now. And I think getting Chit Chat Right out of the portal was a really nice get, What they weren't expecting her to be in the portal, but obviously once they got the assistant from Georgia Tech, Chit Chat Right became available as well and came on over. I think she plugs in and probably starts at point guard for Iowa. Now, she's not going to probably be like a 39-minute-a-game player like Bennett Sturtz or maybe a Lucy Olson, but, high 20s maybe. So you throw her in with Addie Deal, Taylor McCabe. Taylor Stremlow can do some ball handling. You got Kylie Feuerbach coming back for another year. And then, she's got, her idea is to move Hannah Stuelke back to the 4. So that frees up Ava Hayden to be that true 5, that starter at the 5. And then she's super high on Layla Hayes, the incoming girl from Alaska, like a true 6'5" post with a skill back to the basket. I think that's probably been an everyone talks about Addie Deal, but I think Layla Hayes could be someone who makes an immediate impact for the Hawkeyes next season. So she likes their roster right now. Probably could use a forward, maybe to back up Stuelke in case Mulaney needs another year to marinate. But I think they're in pretty good shape right now.
Chad, this weekend, some young lady by the name of Caitlin Clark comes back to Carver Hawkeye. Do you have expectations of like what that's going to be like? I think about it, and the place is going to be electric. She was back already for the jersey ceremony, and it was electric, and now she gets to take the floor. What are your expectations for what that's going to look like on Sunday?
Yeah, I've been trying to think about it and what it's going to be like because it's going to be a different jersey, obviously, different team. It's not the Hawkeyes out there, it's the Fever. It's a Brazilian national team. So, like, in some ways you're thinking, like, well, will it really feel like that electricity, But, I was at the Big Ten women's tournament this last year, and even when Caitlin Clark, like, walked onto the floor with her mom to her courtside seat, it was just like, ooh, this buzz is in the building, already, So that's like her walking to a chair and sitting down and watching the game. Like you're going to actually see her, an hour and a half before the game or whatever, shooting logo threes, like people with signs yelling for Caitlin. They've all paid a lot of money to be in there. So yeah, I do think it's going to be, I don't exactly know what to expect just because of the dynamic that it's not the Hawkeyes, but I think there's just so much love for her and gratefulness for her in our state that everybody who's going is going to want to make the most of it, and they're going to be energized, and that I think that's going to electrify the building to a certain extent. Obviously, I'll be there, soak it in. I'll write about it. I think she's going to talk pregame, so that'll we'll get some pregame stuff posted for you guys, and it should be a pretty fun Sunday, and then I'll take a break. Okay, I promise I'll take a break after that.
There you go. Plug everything because I know you do the Iowa Everywhere show with Doc, who's been on the show several times. You guys are way too good to me, both of you guys. I owe you beers and a steak dinner or something. But plug that. Plug the podcast and stuff like that because that stuff's up right now. The Jensen stuff. the McCollum stuff. Tell people how they can go check it out. And they should subscribe too. When it comes to like the paywall and stuff, I do so. You need to do so. It's well worth it when it comes to what Chad does. But go ahead and plug it for me.
Yeah, I mean, I have a subscription, so I can't tell you exactly how much it is, but I think it's pretty cheap for like an annual subscription, especially if you like are a new subscriber. Like you can get it pretty dirt cheap for the first year. So hawkcentral.com is where all of our work is housed. And we do once football season starts, I do 4 podcasts a week in that case. And some of them are, just on our website. And so, certainly well worth the investment. I have a text group, so if you're a subscriber, you have to be a part of my text group. If you want to, you just have to get text from me, which kind of sucks. I mean, Matt knows when I get, I can text too much sometimes.
Never.
Never.
There's nothing better there's nothing better than a December Saturday when I get out of a basketball game and I've missed like 20 text messages from Chad Leistikow. Yeah. It could be good. Right. It could be bad. You never know. So go ahead.
Yeah, you never know. No, that's appreciate just appreciate you having me on, and hope your show's going well. I think it is. You got Kirk on tomorrow, so
yeah.
Not a letdown today, but at least you have a good guest.
No,
tomorrow.
I'm worried because I told you probably 20 minutes. I probably kept you for a half hour. I don't think I can get away with that with Kirk. If they tell me 20 minutes with Kirk, I have a feeling I'm going to have to not say, hey, sorry, Kirk. So, Chad, I appreciate it. Go check his stuff out. He's one of the best in the business. We'll catch up real soon. Get healthy. Get rid of that cough, okay?
Yeah. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
All right. Chad Leistikow from the Des Moines Register. Seriously, one of the best in the business when it comes to covering the Iowa Hawkeyes, but also when it comes to just being a good dude. One of the best in the business. So we got a lot more to get to on today's show. Coming up next, we've moved Steamwheeler Wednesday to Steamwheeler Thursdays. So Malik Duncan, defensive back from the Steamwheelers, the 5-0 undefeated Steamwheelers, will be joining us coming up after the break. And then in hour number 2, Throwback Thursday, my old friend, he's not that old, my old friend Jason Fechner will stop by and chat. So we got a lot more to get to. You're watching Off the Air right here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Quad Cities. Are you brave enough for halfway to Halloween? Friday, May 16th, the Steamwheelers battle on Tulsa in a night of haunted hits and bone-crushing indoor football action. It's spooky fun for the whole family, complete with a haunted house and high-flying IFL football that'll leave you howling. Snag your tickets now at steamwheelersfootball.com/tickets and come get scared and entertained. Friday night, May 16th, presented by Asylum of Mad Dreams and Slick Willie Radio.
Please join us April 24th through May 3rd online for the 20th annual Chuck Long Charity Auction presented by Atlantic Bottling Company. This year's event features over 200 amazing items. The more bidders we have, the more money we'll raise for life-altering therapy for kids in need right here in the Quad Cities. So please bid high and bid often. Brought to you by these sponsors. Welcome back to Off the Air on a Thursday here in the Quad Cities, and usually it's Steamwheeler Wednesdays, and we've had a lot of fun with them, but some technical difficulties really frustrated me yesterday, but it's worth the wait. Steamwheeler Thursday this week, and we're lucky enough to be joined by Malik Duncan, a defensive back for the Quad City Steamwheelers. Let me say that correctly, Malik. The undefeated 5-0 first place Quad City Steamwheelers. A lot of smiles these days when it comes to Quad City Steamwheeler football. First and foremost, thanks for doing this, and it's been a good start, my friend, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been an amazing start. Give me just great vibes. It's just a great time. It made me feel like a kid again playing football. Just it's not work, or it's not like, very serious. It's like we're having fun. I mean, even the games, I can't wait for Saturday. Like, I just have fun in the games. The games are more fun than practice. Practice is a little stressful, but we still have fun. But the games for sure, like, fun.
I love it. We're going to talk about last week and then look ahead to this week in a second. But I want to talk big picture because you're 5-0, and I've been telling your teammates and coaches, you guys have come on in each week, that I've covered the Wheelers for a long time, and there's always a good excitement. It's a great fan base, we know that, but there's a different buzz this year. Are you feeling it? Am I crazy? But when people are talking about the Wheelers, there's a little extra buzz when it comes to this year's team. Do you feel that?
Yeah, it's just different. At the beginning of the year, I gave guys a speech about the 2022 year. We went to the championship and the difference from that team than any other team that I've been a part of. And that team, we had fight. On paper, a lot of them guys, you wouldn't even look their way if you were a scout or if you were a coach or anything. But one thing they did is play hard. We played together. And that's the same vibe I get from this team, as far as just, I would just say more talent with the same, integrity and, motivation to be better and to play together. There's no selfish tendencies really with this team. Everybody, is happy for the next man. If they make a play, willing to help the next person, takes accountability if they mess up, not pointing fingers. It's just football. It's just great football. Like, it's just amazing for real.
So when I introduced you, I did the whole 5-0, first place, undefeated. We get excited about it. The media can. The fans I know are excited. Do you guys – I feel like you guys don't dwell on it too much. It's nice to say and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think the goal at the beginning of the year when you guys got together was, hey, let's go 5-0. How do you guys look at it? Because it's great to be undefeated, but I don't think that's not the ultimate goal to be 5-0, is it?
The ultimate goal is to win 1-0 each week. That's all we just try to harp. 1-0 each week, 1-0 each week. No matter who we playing, got to go out there, do what we got to do. Whatever's called, run it and do the best we can and execute it. Win your rep. I tell my guys all the time on defense, win your rep. We do your 1/8, and that's all we try to harp. You do your 1/8, we go 1-0 each week, we'll be victorious.
Malik, you look at this team, and we talked before we started that they're 5-0, but I think it's not been a perfect 5-0. Yes, the record's perfect, but there's things here and there. But you guys are getting better and winning at the same time. And I love Coach Ross teams because you could see them get better from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. Maybe no more so than the 22 season that you talked about. But with the struggles maybe and the bumps along the way come wins. Do you guys feel that there's still more there? There's more to get to, but you're winning while you're learning at the same time.
Yeah, it's more like I feel like we haven't even played the complete game yet, or we haven't even done. We haven't played great football. Like we're just playing good football. The game we just played against Jacksonville, we go watch film. There's so many mistakes we had, and it's like wow. The score shows different, but you're trying to be perfect, but you can't be perfect in football. But when you're watching the film and you're seeing the mistakes or whatever it might be, it's like, wow, we had this play and this play. We messed up on this, or you could have done this right, or you could have done this wrong. We should have hit this gap. So those are different things that we just try to harp on. So like if we can figure those out, and as the weeks go on, we're figuring them out. And I mean, we're only gonna get better. I feel like, because we're building great chemistry. We're having fun. Winning is fun, obviously, but it's just we find in the small things. And if we can tune up the small things now, it's not about winning it now. It's about in the back end. And that's what people fail to realize. Everybody's so happy about us being 5-0 now, but it's not about right now. It's about, who has the most soldiers at the end. It's a long season. We have 11 games left. Who has the most soldiers at the end? And if you got the most standing soldiers, then you're going to win it all.
No, I love it. You looking at Malik and there's been, you mentioned it being a complete team. And I know you're talking a lot about, being for each other and teammate wise and all that kind of stuff, chemistry, but it's 3 phases and the offense makes plays, the defense makes plays, special teams made plays. There's been kickoff returns for touchdowns and all those kind of things. Kind of talk about that, because I know those guys on offense probably get a lot of the love and the highlights and all that kind of stuff, and they're doing good, but it does take a complete team effort. And it seems like all 3 phases have showed out this year at one point or another and are doing good things.
Yeah, you have your leaders on each side of the ball on every phase. I mean, your leader on special teams, you have Kaplan, the kicker, all league kicker. He brings it. He does the best he can every game to try to be a great kicker. And me and a couple guys, we were always hard on Cap, but we love Cap. So we try to bring out the best out of him to be that great kicker. You have great returners. You have the great blockers as well. So the coaches do a great job with that. On offense, you have, a veteran quarterback, Daquan Neal. I mean, the guys – what I'm saying? He been doing it for a long time. I told him, like, before he came, it's like, I got to find a way to get you here, because I ain't got time to be trying to scout. We played each other a lot, and we go at it, and I'm like, I can't keep doing this for years, so it's time. We always talked about playing together, but now we finally made it happen. So you got a guy like that that vet presence at quarterback, and, who's able to talk around the guys around him. And you got Joe Crawl and Ivory Scott, and you can go on and on about that up front. It's all about winning the game up front. And defensively, you got a Keyshawn Moore. You got a Bubba Arslanian. He had his breakout little couple games last year, but this year he's showing what he can do. And, you got great defensive backs, Chuck, Trey, Cam, CJ Parrish, and we can go on and on. Nick. I mean, we just got some great players. And our D-line, they're young, around Keyshawn Moore. But Chima has a vet presence, but our 2 other ends, Q and David Cagle, has high motors to be young guys. So, I mean, everybody's willing to learn about the next person, and they take everything personal, when you try to coach them up and talk to them about things. So you got all type of different pieces that's willing to put it together to get the ultimate goal, which is winning.
You look at this team, and I remember Doug Bland was out here in the palatial studios that I got out here to start the season, and he mentioned that there's some new faces but the familiar ones, yourself and Rudd and Crawl and a bunch of those guys, got to be leaders. Kind of talk about that, because Quad City's been home. I mean, I know you grew up in Cleveland, but Quad Cities is kind of home for Malik now. Did you feel like you had to tell these new guys what it meant to be a Steamwheeler, and maybe take more of a leadership role when it came to that kind of thing, because you're one of the guys that have been in this market, been in this system, been with this coach for quite some time?
Yeah, I mean, I've been with Coach Ross my whole career. For me, for being the leader is just more like, I'm not the big hoorah guy. I mean, I give some good speeches, just try to hit it to the heart, but I'm smart. What always helped me in my career of football is I'm smart. So I try to coach guys up. I done played over 100 games in IFL. I always tell people, and it's like I could try to tell the guys, hey man, there's only so much this guy can do. I played against this OC, I played against this quarterback or this receiver. He wants to do this, he want to do this, he want to do this. So it's just like, and I know the defense like the back of my hand, as far as like, I was with Coach Ross when he built the defense, and it's just like I know everything, the ins and outs, the weakness, how can we play certain things, and things like that. So it just depends on what you're looking for. And then you got Joe and Rudd, and they lead differently. Everybody lead differently. And I was always taught there's never too many leaders. So everybody try to lead in a different way.
So 62-14, a nice home win. And I want to wrap up that win with just the environment. And that's 2 straight weeks, or you had a bye week in between, I think. But you had over 6,000 people there a few weeks ago. Another great crowd this past weekend. What's it like? And but you get these guys come in. Do you have to tell them, hey, this ninth man is pretty special, and this is why? Because kind of talk about them. Because I think I'll watch the games on YouTube when you guys are on the road. You're not in front of environments like you guys get at home. How important is this fan base to what you guys have done so far this season?
It's amazing. I feel like we have some of the best fans. And it's like, obviously, I feel like our fan supporters win, lose, or draw. But obviously, the more you're winning, the more people going to come. The more people, that guy that sits across the way at lunch at work, he might have just seen something on TV but never noticed nothing about the Steamwheelers. And now he wants to go to a game and take his kids or his wife. So it's like those different things. Obviously, somebody want to see teams who are winning. But the fans is just amazing atmosphere. It just feels like home when you step out there. When we come out at 6:05 and at 5:50, and it feels like, wow, like it just, you can feel it in the atmosphere. You can see the kids, the smile on their faces, the parents, and it's just like they feel it too. Like you think they're playing with you, and it's like, and it's so loud when we're on defense and the opposing teams on offense. It's just so loud, and it's like they can't even think straight, and it's like you need that. And I was just telling guys all this week, I'm like, it's just crazy. I wonder what a home playoff game would be like in Quad City this year. And that's the goal. If I'm like, because we had our chances in the last couple of years to have a home playoff game, but it always came to that last game and we lost it. And so the goal, if we can get that, I said, man, we get that. We need dollar beer night, kid night, everything you can think of. That needs to go down, but every playoff game that's in Quad City for sure.
Malik, you talk about being a lifelong or a career-long Coach Ross guy, but a Quad City guy. You've been here for a long time. I'm real old, and I've been here my whole life, and I can remember the days of the way back when it was the biggest ticket in town. And I keep telling people around that I talk to that, yeah, this is a good team, and the crowds are growing. I can see it eventually, like you mentioned, a playoff game. I can see that curtain gone. Like I can see 9,000, 10,000 fans there. Can you guys see that? Can you guys envision that? Because I honestly think that's where this thing can go if the winning continues and the excitement continues. I've yet to have one person say to me, I went to the Wheelers and it wasn't a good time. Yeah, you know what I mean? I went to the game and I can't wait to go to another one. So can you guys see that 8, 9, 10,000 number when it comes to fans and really packing that place?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like as long as we can go 1-0 each week, when the time is right, it's gonna be right, and it's gonna go, and they're gonna be there. I already know. I can feel it. The only thing I just focus on is let's just win every week we can and go 1-0 each week, and it's gonna be time around late July, early August. That first round of playoff, hopefully we the number 1 seed and everything goes through QC. And then that's when I'll expect 10,000 plus. I wouldn't even say, I feel like 10,000 plus for sure. But like I said, dollar beer night, you get dollar beer night and a couple other things, mix it in there, you can get a good crowd for sure.
No, I agree with you. You head on the road, 2 straight road games. This week, you head to Fisher, 2-2, I think, on the season. What's the talk with the team? Because as somebody who watches a lot of football, I don't play it, but watch it, there's always those sneaky trap games, those letdown games, kind of stuff like that. How important is it, and how much has coach and the coaching staff kind of talked about each week? It doesn't matter about a record. I mean, you're on the road in this league. It's hard. How much does Fisher have your attention? And they have to, because it's hard to win on the road in this league, isn't it?
Yeah, they got our attention because they're the next opponent, But that's the main thing. I mean, they're the next people on the schedule. They're the next war we got, so they got the main attention. It's a couple guys that we got on our team who got this game circled on their calendar. So you don't want to let your friends and your brothers go to war alone. So we're going to have their back, and we got to do what we got to do to come out victorious. But Fisher, a great team, new organization ran by a great coach, Coach Dixie Wooten. He's doing a great job. He building it around. It's a fresh start for that team. They're going to come to play. I mean, they lost 3 straight. They started off 2-0. Now they 2-3. So just because we 5-0 don't mean anything. The record don't mean anything. Like I said, we just got to focus on. We got to do what we got to do and run what's called and have them adjust to us. We can't adjust to them. We got to have them adjust to us, play physical, and we come out victorious.
I got some fun questions I want to talk to you about, but before I do, you're a Coach Ross guy, and I've gotten to know him over the years. He's been here for a long time, a really good human being. What is it about that guy that you love, that you've grown accustomed to, being with him for as long as you've been with him, off the field and on the field?
For me, so I had 3 offers in IFL, and I remember like it was yesterday. Green Bay, Bismarck, and Coach Ross was the second guy I ever talked to. When I talked to him, it was just different. It was just it was different. It was just it felt just like a connection. And it wasn't, he wasn't sugarcoating nothing. He was keeping it straightforward, and it was real. And then when I got here, it was still the same thing. Obviously, I had to earn everything I got. And my first game ever, I played very good the whole game, but I gave up the ending touchdown for them to win the game. And I was devastated. And he pulled me to the side. I thought I was getting cut because he had me in my own single room. And then the next day I was in the double room with a roommate. And I'm like, oh, it's all bad, But he pulled me to the side, and he talked to me. He was just he seen how bad I wanted it. And then the next couple games, I started heating up. And I started just playing great. And he always just kept talking to me how are you going to bounce back from that? And I bounced back good. And then we started talking. And then I dealt with some personal issues. I'm losing a couple people in my life, my cousin, and he was there when he was one of the first 3 people there to call me when I got some bad news about my cousin. And then ever since that day, for real, that's when it became you give it a father figure, presence in my life after that. And it was just ever since then, that's when we always been connected. We talk, whenever we can, but the connection is great, and I can count on him if I need something. Not if I want something, more if I need something for sure.
I love it. I love to hear that. He is a good coach, an even better human being. So that's fantastic to hear. Let's get to know you, because you're a Cleveland boy. Does that mean you're a Browns fan and a Cavs fan and all that kind of stuff?
We got Shadur Sanders, man. Perfect timing. We good. But yeah, I'm really a Players fan, but I'm a Browns fan too. But yeah, I'm a Browns fan.
So you can see my desk. I got Lions stuff. I'm a big Lions fan. So I feel your pain, because neither one of us have done a lot of winning. Us a little more lately, but I feel the pain. There's not a lot of a ton of winning. You've been in the Quad Cities for some time. Do you consider the Quad Cities home right now when it comes to being here for as many years as you have?
Yeah, for sure. It's considered home away from home. Ain't nothing like being home with my mother, though. I'm a mama's boy, and that my mama cooking is the best thing that I miss besides her. And I'm a family man. So, but no, it's home away from home for sure. It's something I miss my family a lot of the times because I'm a family person. But especially around football season, it's good because I'm not around my family, but I'm around family away from family. But when it's not that time, it's definitely tough for sure.
Absolutely. You mentioned mom and you mentioned the food. What's if you go home, what's the spread? What's mom making?
It's I ain't been home in a while, and it's she know her youngest son coming home. She gonna make some macaroni, chicken, fried chicken, baked beans, green beans, the whole 9 yards. And I'm not moving the chair. I'm good. I'm just gonna sit down take my time and vibe out.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Place in the Quad Cities. Give me a place in the Quad Cities since you've been here for a while that you, when it's time to like what you said, pig out, vibe out. Where's it at? And mom's not here to cook for you. Where's that guilty pleasure you're going to go pig out if you're going to have a good meal?
I like River House and I like Van's Pizza.
Okay.
I don't like the pizza. I mean, the pizza cool. I like the wings though. At Van's. Dude named Troy, he can cook some wings for sure. Shout out to Troy.
Do you have? Are you a bone-in or a boneless wing guy?
Bone in.
Because you're an adult. That's why. It's because if there's not a bone in there, they're called nuggets, right? Like that's what. So are you a spicy wing guy? Are you a how do you eat your wings? How do you want them dressed or take me through it?
Well, you can't sleep on the nuggets because I'm one of them. I'm a grown man, but I go to Texas Roadhouse and I get the critters for 20 plus years. Them are nuggets.
Hey, I'm a chicken strip, but it's a chicken strip. Like you feel more of an adult when it's a strip. If it's a nugget, you kind of feel like a little kid. But
I don't care. I'm eating it.
I love it. What's the wings? Like, what's the flavor? How are you doing your wings?
I like garlic parm, mild, lemon pepper. Depends on how I'm feeling that day.
You do any spicy stuff? Like, are you going to Buffalo Wild Wings and doing anything crazy?
No spicy for me. I'm cool on the spiciness.
I like it. You had a bye week. A week and a half ago? What did you do? How did you spend your bye week? What do you like to do for fun when you get a week off in the season?
I really didn't do too much. I mean, I work, so my days are long. So the bye week just made my days semi not that long. That's it. I got 2 dogs, and I love my dogs, and I try to walk them. But sometimes I got my youngest dog, she too energetic, and sometimes I just need to relax.
If you could have a meal, I think I've asked all your teammates this that have been on. If you could have a meal with one person, any person, it can be anybody, who would it be and why?
One person. I don't know. LeBron James, for sure. LeBron James.
Okay.
I'd definitely be LeBron James, yeah.
Malik, be honest with me. Who's the best basketball player of all time?
LeBron James.
Oh, come on. You don't mean that, do
LeBron.
you? You're not one of those knuckleheads, are you?
LeBron James.
All right, I'll send you. I got your email. I'll send you some Michael highlights, and we can.
Yeah, send me the Michael. Send me the Michael highlights.
I love it. If you could play another sport besides football, what would it be and why?
I wish I could play basketball, but my dreams got ruined because I got cut from the freshman team because my brother called the coach and told him to cut me. So therefore, I don't even want to play no other sport. I'm cool.
Hold on. What? Your brother called the coach and told him to cut you?
He knew the coach. I made the team, freshman team. He seen I made the team, called the coach, and the coach cut me. I didn't know that until I got to college, and then I invited the coach asking to come to a game, and then they finally told me the truth.
So
I was hurt. I was
going to say, are you good with your brother still, or are you that cost
he's a tough lover, He's very tough love, but it took some time. I told him he had me being the laughing stock in high school for a good and long time. So it's all good now, though.
Hey, who's playing professional sports right now?
Me, but he's still crazy for doing that. I can't believe that.
But you win in the long run. He ain't playing professional sports.
I won in college too because I'm the only one in my family went D1. So I was cool with that one.
Absolutely. Malik Duncan joined us here on Steamwheeler Thursday. Now, Malik, we started this at the start of the season. Great relationship I got with the Wheelers. Love Doug Bland. Love Coach. But since we've done this, since we've started these Steamwheeler Wednesdays / Thursdays, you guys haven't lost. Now, I know you guys do a lot of the work on the weekends, but don't you feel like I deserve a little bit of credit for giving you guys the mojo to do I get a little bit?
Hey, somebody got to do it. hey, we gotta do something for you, man. We need to give you a plaque or something, take you get some food. Even if we need to pitch in or something, get you a nice little steak or something, you know what I'm saying? You gotta do something.
You guys brought me Rudd brought me a mini helmet, so I'm good. That was all the things I need.
I like that helmet.
That's all I need.
That helmet. You need the white one now. You need the white one.
Oh, Destiny, I know you're watching. Destiny, feel free to, if you want to send the white one out, I'd love the white one as well. Give me the pitch before I let you go. For fans watching this and interested in going and checking the Steamwheelers out. In fact, we had somebody on last week that was like, I used to have Steamwheeler season tickets, and I haven't been in a little while, and I hear they're really good. And they ended up going to the game this past weekend. So if people are watching this, and I know there's 2 road games, and then you guys are back like middle of May, but if they're thinking about going and checking out the Wheelers, give them the sales pitch. Why do they need to come out and check out the undefeated team in the IFL?
I feel like you should come check out the Wheelers, because it's a good place for you to bring your family, your wife, your kids, your cousins, your aunties, your uncles, the whole 9 yards. You got everything you want in there. You got the kids can play around with other kids. They see football. Adults, y'all can have your adult beverages, and, it gives you some time to step out the house. Yeah, the weather about to break, so wear your shorts, wear your t-shirts, tank tops, your jean shorts, you feel me? And just come out there and get a good time. Enjoy the weather, catch the vibe.
I love it. So the Quad City Steamwheelers are on the road this week. They're at Fisher. They go to Green Bay the following week, and then they'll be back for Tulsa the week after that. So, Malik, stay healthy. Keep doing what you do. Keep winning football games. I appreciate. We had some technical difficulties, so it wasn't easy, but it was it worth the wait? It wasn't that bad, was it?
It was always worth the wait. That's what my mama always told me to say. If it was worth the wait, it was always worth the wait.
I love it. That's great. That's great. So, Malik, best of luck to you. Stay healthy, and we'll talk to you guys real soon.
Appreciate you, man.
All right. It is Malik Duncan, defensive back for the Quad City Steamwheelers, the undefeated Quad City Steamwheelers, joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday, day late from the Steamwheelers Wednesday, but well worth the wait, as Malik just said. 2 road games for the Wheelers, and then they'll be back for Tulsa coming up in the middle of May. We got a lot more to get to. You're watching Off the Air with Matt Randazzo right here on a Thursday.
Quad Cities, are you brave enough for halfway to Halloween? Friday, May 16th, the Steamwheelers battle on Tulsa in a night of haunted hits and bone-crushing indoor football action. It's spooky fun for the whole family, complete with a haunted house and high-flying IFL football that'll leave you howling. Snag your tickets now at steamwheelersfootball.com/tickets and come get scared and entertained. Friday night, May 16th, presented by Asylum of Mad Dreams and Slick Willie Radio.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air on a Thursday here in the Quad Cities. Of course, Thursdays are Throwback Thursdays. We started this a few weeks ago. Didn't do it last week because we had our live remote over at Oscar's Pub, but a little Throwback Thursday. Our first guest was the one and only Jim Mertens. And I figured, how do you follow up Jim Mertens, the handsome devil that he is? Well, I happened to track down the handsomest anchor in the history of the Quad Cities. I think that's what they call you, isn't it?
I think that's it. I don't have time for this right now. I'm actually watching the Jim Mertens one because this was good.
Yeah, it was great. Jason Fechner joins us right now. It's weird, Jason, because we were talking before we started, and I said, how long have you been gone? Because my 1-year-old was like, who's Jason? But my oldest two are like, oh, cool, Fechner. It's been 9 years since you've been in the Quad Cities, but I know you loved the area. You love this place. Time flies, man. Why you been gone so long?
Yeah, it is. I'm there all the time, pretty often. It is crazy to think, like, when I was leaving the Quad Cities, and I still remember, like, the last night at WQAD, Alan, our news director at the time, he's like, you don't have to take this job. Like, you can just stay. And I remember, like, I was emotional. I didn't want to go, and I was like, maybe I will. Maybe I won't go to Indianapolis. So it was crazy to think that it was like a decade when I had left. And yeah, crazy to think that it's coming up on a decade that I've already been gone. So wild. Yeah, no, it's great. So you went to Indy. Let's catch everybody up. You went to Indy. You're now in Wisconsin, Milwaukee. Kind of explain the journey, and you're one of the biggest names in all of the world now. So explain how you used us as a stepping stone to get to the greatness. So I had a job offer in Indianapolis, and I was going back and forth, do I stay in the Quad Cities because it had become home and, great friends and family and everything else and close to home, or, do I take that job in Indianapolis? And it was like, well, maybe we'll make a move and see what happens. So had gone to Indianapolis, was with Script Station, the ABC affiliate there, for a couple of years, and then had stepped out of news for a while and was doing something else. And then this company reached out, was shooting a Midwestern travel show, and they'd seen some things, and they'd seen some stuff from Indianapolis and the Quad Cities, and they said, hey, we're launching this 24/7 network that we've got with New York and New York One and Los Angeles. We're launching in Wisconsin, 24/7 across Wisconsin. Would you be the evening anchor for that? And Milwaukee, close to family. My college roommate lives down the road from where we are now. Still close to the Quad Cities, so we can easily drive back and forth. Close to Brittany's family up in Red Wing, Minnesota. So we got really blessed and, took the job, and it's been 6.5 years basically since we launched here. So, staying in the Midwest and everything else. But yeah, I get back to the Quad Cities probably once or twice a year, not as much with the boys right now, but it's still my second home for sure.
Tell us about the boys, because more importantly than you stole Brittany Lewis, now Brittany Fechner, from us. Brittany, a fantastic reporter, one of the legends, one of the pillars of Reporter Island. People don't realize that. Probably my favorite part of Reporter Island. And now married, 2 kids. Tell us, how's Brittany doing? I got to say hi to her a second ago, but and the boys, 2 boys, and I love it because I got 4 boys. So we don't make girls. It's just boys.
No. Brittany's great. And then we've got Drake, who's 3.5, and McKinnon, who just crossed the 6-month mark. Drake's a blast and a half, really great. McKinnon is different, and you can attest to this. They're all different. McKinnon is the most jovial, fat, and happy baby you could ever imagine. He's sleeping pretty well, which Drake never did. And he's just always like in a pretty great mood and just smiling. So it's really fun to have both of them. And Drake is definitely a good big brother right now. So it's we're definitely blessed on a number of levels.
No, absolutely. Being a dad, And you were like Uncle Jason to my oldest too. In fact, and I should pop it on the show one of these times. But we used to do these score opens, these goofy score opens that we'd have. And a lot of times I'd just throw it at you. And I know I did. We would go for our legendary Polar Pop runs and we get in the car and I'm like, guys, I have no idea what we're going to do. I'm going to screw Jason over because he's not doing anything tonight. Hopefully he'll come up with something great. And one time you had my kid, my sweet, innocent Charlie, probably 1 year old, say Go Bears on TV. So, but you were like fun, cool, Uncle Jason, and I have a feeling you're fun, cool dad now. What's life as a dad right now?
Well, yeah, Brittany, it was real sweet when I got home today. She said that Drake said that when he grows up, he wants to be a dad, like me. So that's, you hear that, you're like, oh, my heart melts. So it's great. Brittany works in the morning and has kind of launched this PR company. So in the morning from Jump, whomever wakes up first, daddy daycare starts. And I've got both boys from Jump until like 11:30 when I scramble, get ready for work, and run into the studio. So, how cool is that you get to spend that much time with them each and every morning? Now, Drake's been in preschool this year on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So ever since McKinnon's been born, then we get a little time together. But it's a blast and a half. And I bought this e-bike, this motorbike thing that we've got a little trailer attached to. So it gets up to like 25, 30 miles an hour. So Drake and I will go on these adventures with the motorbike thing. McKinnon hasn't done it yet. But yeah, we'll just bop around town and hit some different communities outside Milwaukee and all the parks and everything. So it's always myself and then like 10 moms at story time or whatever we're doing. So it's being Mr. Mom and Daddy Daycare all in once for a few hours. So it's been really fun.
See, Jason, the old Dazzo that you knew, the immature one, would have made a joke there about you and 10 moms. I would have said something inappropriate and got yelled at, but I've matured. Like I wouldn't do anything like that anymore. It's cool because listening to you talk about that is what my last 15 years have been like. And I'll tell you, I'll be the old guy, but like enjoy the heck out of these times because that was the beauty of being in this business was that, yeah, you didn't have the nights like you maybe wanted, but you had that one-on-one time with the boy. I got him with my boys growing up. We'd go to PepsiCo or go for runs. We'd push him. I'd push him in a stroller and we'd do the bridges. We'd start at Schweber Park and go over the Centennial Bridge and then over the Arsenal Bridge and back. Now that sounds exhausting, but back in the day, I was a chiseled specimen like we've already established before we started this. So enjoy the heck out of those days because they are a ton of fun. Jason Fechner joining us right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, Throwback Thursday. What do you miss about the Quad Cities? Besides me.
List.
Besides obviously.
Of course, you're one. No, I mean, like it sounds cliche, but the people and the friends that I made over the 10 years there, and I was so blessed to live there and so blessed to meet so many people, and probably 90% of the people that I still catch up with more often than not are folks from the Quad Cities. So definitely the people and the friends that I made there. I tell this to a lot of people. The Quad Cities is like the most underrated area in the country as far as like just a beautiful part of the country to live in with beautiful people who are living there, wonderful souls. But then like there are these Iowa sunsets and Illinois sunrises, depending on where you're at. And, it's just this cool area and cool community full of, absolutely wonderful people. So those are the things that you kind of miss when you're just driving around town and you realize like, oh, look at that, or you'll see a familiar face or a good friend there. So, definitely the people, phenomenal food, and then just the chance to live along the mighty Mississippi River. What a cool opportunity for people who live there, obviously their entire lives, that I think sometimes gets taken for granted. But sometimes it takes people who've lived in other places to come in and be like, oh, this is really, really a very unique and wonderful spot in the country.
Okay, so thinking of my favorite Jason Fechner things, and I want you to tell us the things that you remember the most when it comes to stories and stuff. I remember you and Scott Weiss going to the Middle East, which should have been a reality story, and you can tell us more about it if this is what comes to your mind first. But you lost your gear, or there was just and you still kicked ass. It was crazy. I remember you got in a kayak and kayaked back and forth across the Mississippi to raise money for something. What are the things that pop out to you when you think back to your days in the Quad Cities, the things that you kind of did story-wise or professionally?
Well, I think, the kayak thing was fun. That was 12 hours as a cancer benefit, just back and forth between Iowa and Illinois. The arms pretty much fell off at the end of it, but it was still a cool thing to do. And then at some point, I'd also done 24 hours of bell ringing for the Salvation Army, which was also pretty crazy to do, but somehow pulled it off. And then the trip to the Middle East, we had an Illinois Army National Guard unit that was stationed in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt along the Israeli border. So they had offered to kind of let us come out and embed with them for about a week. And no, we did not lose our luggage. Wheezy had his camera gear confiscated in the Cairo airport by corrupt security guards. So they wanted 10 grand cash on the spot to let the camera through. We, work in local TV. We didn't have 10 grand alone, let alone 10 grand cash. And then somehow, our clothes disappeared for a few days. So we really kind of toughed it out while we were there. And the best part of the whole thing was when we were finally leaving and we'd finally gotten our luggage and we're finally leaving this military base, I looked at Wheezy and I'm like, because we were in like separate barracks, and I'm like, man, can't wait to get back to Davenport and I can't wait to take a hot shower. And he looked at me and he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, I've got boiling hot water in my barracks. And I'd had cold showers for like a week, just miserable. And I got the raw end of that deal. But an incredible chance to spend some time with those men and women out there. So definitely a top 5 memory of the Quad Cities.
But people and you still produced. Like, you still got the job done. You still had stories. You still and I think maybe people listening are wondering this, but I'm wondering, how did you do it? Did you guys how'd you get a camera? I can't remember.
We had a really small camera, and this was in like 2007, 2008, so it was rare that cameras were really small, but we had gotten this really small one that I'd bought in that you could plug an external mic in, and somehow the security guys hadn't caught that. So we basically used that, I think, for the entire time we were there. And the best part was, Scott Weiss, loving his gear and his, camera and his photography gear, he was forced to like walk around town with this tiny little camera and microphone, and he was just like embarrassed by it. I was like, it's going to be fine. It's going to look, and it did. It all worked out great. So we had to adapt on the fly.
It was great. You know what? Scott Weiss owes us. I mean, he's gone to, we've had great trips. You guys had great trips. The more I think about it, the more Scott Weiss owes us something. I don't know what, maybe a polo pop, but, when it comes to, events here in the Quad Cities, like, what are the things you kind of miss the most? Because you were always active. I know St. Patrick's Day was fun for you. But like, what are the things that you're like, man, I miss these things about the Quad Cities?
Well, St. Patrick's Day was always great. And, Kelly's and the Kelly family, still some of my best friends, and, chat all the time. The Bix obviously was an incredible weekend, and getting to run the Bix a handful of times. And I think I've run it a couple times since being gone. I don't know if I'll run it this summer. That was awesome. And then, just the opportunity to, like I said, take in the riverfront and, run the bridges and, experience all that as often as possible was such a cool thing. I mean, I think that was one of the things that was so underrated about the Quad Cities, a somewhat smaller community, but there was like a big event every weekend. And, you and I obviously loved the John Deere Classic and everything we got to do with that. Like, that was so cool to have my dad come into town for the weekend and be a part of that and experience that. So, like I said, it's a very long list of things at the Quad Cities that I miss from my, opportunity to live there for so long. and still cool to come back and visit and join in every now and again.
You mentioned the John Deere Classic I think it was even last year. Didn't you didn't you drive like 6 hours to be at the John Deere Classic for like 90 minutes or something like that? It was ridiculous. Great to see you, by the way. It was great to see you.
Like, I think Brittany and Drake were gone, and Brittany was very pregnant at the time, and I had like a one-day window, and a buddy of mine here in the Quad Cities, Mike Maynard, or in Milwaukee, I'm like, all right, Mike, this is the plan. We get up at like 4 a.m. And get on the road. We can be there by 7, and we can hang out there. And he had something like later for 4th of July in the afternoon, and I was like, okay, so we can roll in by 7 a.m. We can take in like 5 hours of golf. We can get you back for whatever your party is, and I think that's a successful day. And he's like, all right, let's do it. So yeah, we made it happen, and no regrets.
Sports-wise, Jason Fechner joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Throwback Thursday makes you sound old, and I know you're not, because we're not old, so
feels pretty good.
Yeah. And by the way, I just pointed out that I couldn't run the bridges anymore, and then no more than 2 minutes later, you're like, yeah, I might run the Bix again this summer. It's like, damn it, Fechner, stop making me look bad.
Easy to say, maybe I'll do it. Maybe we'll see.
Exactly. Nobody's going to hold you to it. Sports-wise, you're a big Bears fan, so I got to ask you about the beloved. And I got my Lions stuff here, and I hate the Bears. Everybody knows it. Are you as excited about Caleb Williams? Did you love the draft? Are you finally going to turn things around? Where are you at with things with the Bears?
Well, I wouldn't say that I've like given up on the Bears, but fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me for so much of my life, then we'll just kind of wait and see what happens. The nice thing about moving here is with my college roommate and so many other friends who are hardcore Packers fans, and then we do our Packers show with like Hall of Famer Leroy Butler, who I've become really good friends with.
Are you a Packer fan?
Former Packer.
Is that what you're going to tell us?
Well, no, but the nice thing is like everyone knows my small role in the sense that like I know that the Bears have been very bad for a long time on like a number of levels, and like I will not like, okay, the Bears beat the Packers, to wind down this past season. Okay, great. It's like 3 wins and 17 losses of the past 20 times that the teams have met. Like, the Bears have got to, long story short, the Bears have got to do so much, including win probably like 2 Super Bowls in a row or something, to kind of make up for 4 decades of football across the board. So, this is the best time of the year to be a Bears fan. It's the off season. There are no games going on. Everything could be great come the regular season, but now is the time for Bears fans to really shine. Boy, what a great draft. Caleb Williams is coming into his own. Ben Johnson's going to be this incredible head coach. Wow, things are really looking up. And then come like late August, early September is when you're like, okay, kind of the same thing. So we'll see what happens.
I hope they have won the offseason. They always do, and I hope they end up being really bad like they usually are. But I'm a spiteful Lions fan.
Right.
I got some fun questions to get to you.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So, favorite Quad City food place that you miss?
Oh boy, the baked potatoes at Hungry Hobo were just such a treat because like there aren't many places like that serving baked potatoes on the fly anywhere in the country or the Midwest. So that's a pretty good staple. Another thing that I think a lot of people take for granted, the accessibility to baked potatoes on the fly. That's a perk.
Hey, and Hungry Hobo, a fine sponsor of the show, so we appreciate you showing them some love.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, of course.
Well, you're welcome.
Yes, well done. Well done. Godfathers is really good too. You got to get them all in there if you're going to talk about food. Favorite funeral home? Is it Rafferty? No, I'm kidding. That's another sponsor of the show. Bix or John Deere Classic?
Oh boy. Probably John Deere Classic, simply because the threat of like a pulled hamstring is lower, but it's not entirely gone, especially if you're working out there. Yeah, like what a phenomenal phenomenal event. I mean, both of them are. It's a 1A, 1B situation.
Okay, so the world's coming to an end, and you and one other person are saved. And these are the people that you have, and only one can go with you. Jose Casillas, Rob Gimme, or Scott Weiss. Who's coming with you, and who's sayonara?
Okay, this is pretty easy for me. I'm gonna save Rob Gimme simply because I feel like Jose and Scott Weiss are resourceful enough to figure out a different way to survive. I don't know if Rob Gimme survives without me, and that's both just in general day-to-day, but also an end-of-the-world hypothetical scenario.
I think you did that so nobody's mad at you. And I was trying to get somebody mad at you. Damn you, Fechner, you're good.
No, not going to happen.
Okay, word association. I'm going to say a name. And you tell me first thing comes to your mind. James Zahara.
Suave.
Makes sense. Jim Mertens. And you can't use suave again.
I would not use suave for can I go salt of the earth? That's more than one word.
That works.
That works. Okay, all right, salt of the earth. One of the best.
Claire Peterson.
Claire Peterson. Oh, dishonorable, and here's why. I feel like for many years I was on the cusp of getting an exemption, and it never happened. So I'm just kidding. He's wonderful, but I haven't forgotten.
Have you talked to Andrew Lehman? He may be more thoughtful when it comes to that.
I like a lot of Andrew's posts on X simply because I'm thinking like, oh, maybe this is just a subtle little reminder that I'm just kind of one phone call away.
There you go. Jenna Morton.
Meatballs.
Nobody gets that. That's the best answer that you could have given.
You get it, and she gets it.
Absolutely, and that's how many people that need to get it. She's laughing hysterically right now. Last but not least, we've said his name a million times. Scott Weiss.
Savant.
Man, you're good at this game. You are extremely good at this game.
If I could use two words for Scott Weiss, it'd probably be YouTube videos, but savant. We'll go savant.
He is definitely a savant. Jason, when are you coming back to the Quad Cities? When are you bringing those boys? What's the plan? What are we doing?
First weekend in August, for sure. I don't know if there's another trip before that. It is kind of crazy, and God bless you and Jen with 4 boys of their certain ages right now. But even just having 2, like the weekends, just you like look at the calendar, you're like, what happened? What has become of my free time, which no longer exists? So at least one time this summer.
No, absolutely. And that's the thing you'll find out is that you just got to embrace it. You think you're crazy now, Jason? Wait till they grow up and they're going to baseball. And they're going to be, look at yourself, they're going to be fantastic athletes, obviously.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, 100%. So I've enjoyed the heck out of this. I get to talk to you often, but I've had several people always ask me, what's Fechner up to? He's alive, he's well, he's a dad, and he's doing good things in Wisconsin. So thanks, brother. I appreciate you doing this.
Thanks, buddy. Much love to everybody back there in the Quad Cities. Hope to see you all soon.
Absolutely. Jason Fechner, a little feedback towards the end on my part, but that's okay. Jason Fechner, one of the best in the business and one of the good guys. I've always said to people, like, what you see is what you get with Jason Fechner. When he first started working, I should have told this when he was on, but it was almost like, is this guy, he can't be this nice. He can't be this good a guy. And then I quickly found out he's literally that good a guy. So he went from Jim Mertens to like Jason Fechner. That's a good improvement on Off the Air. So we got a lot more to get to. It is Thursday on OTA. We'll be right back. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air on a Thursday here in the Quad Cities. Thursday, May 1st, a fun show to get us through a Thursday. Want to thank first and foremost Chad Leistikow. I could do the entire 2 hours with Chad, but great information on Iowa football. And he sat down with both Coach Jensen and Coach McCullum yesterday. So a lot of great information on all three big sports right now at the University of Iowa. So there's more than three big sports. Wrestling, baseball's doing great. I'm just saying those three, women's and men's basketball and football, Chad Leistikow, as good as you get. So thank you to him for joining us. Also, we had a little Steamwheeler Thursday to make up for Steamwheeler Wednesday not happening. Malik Duncan was with us. The Steamwheelers 5-0, 2 straight road games before they return home. So if you missed Malik, go check him out. And then I'm really starting to dig these Throwback Thursdays. Jim Mertens a few weeks ago. Didn't have one last week because of the remote show over at Oscar's Pub. But today, Jason Fechner, one of my favorite people, coming on the show and catching things up. You know, like obviously it's a sports show, and that's what the main crux of Off the Air is. But I do want to mix up other things as we continue to evolve and develop this thing. So always great to catch up with Jason Fechner. I got some ideas for next week, the next couple weeks actually. So excited for that as well. Of course, tomorrow we will be joined at the top of the show at 10 o'clock by the one and only Kirk Ferentz. Talk a little Iowa football. So Kirk Ferentz is tomorrow. If you missed anything this week, on Monday we had Lexi Rodriguez, Pat Angerer, both on the show. Tuesday, Rusty and Joey Van Wetzinga and Tony Stewart and Ken Prince. So a big Tuesday. Yesterday, new Bureau Valley head coach Pat Elder talked to us about his new job at Bureau Valley, but also just about like high school football in general. Really fun conversation, so go check that out. Tom Kakert was in the house yesterday as well, helping me out here in studio because technology bested me yesterday. Again, thank you to Dane Miller, who was had to deal with me yesterday, and that's awful. So I owe him as I continue to do. The list is long of things that I owe him now. But again, Kirk Ferentz tomorrow on the show. Super excited to chat with the head Hawkeye and get his perspective after spring football. So that was very cool to see as well. And once again, as always, I want to thank our sponsors for letting us do this each and every day. 10 a.m. right here in the Quad Cities, Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. If you have not subscribed, followed, liked, all of those good things, please do that for us. And we'll be back with one more show to wrap up a big week. Kirk Ferentz on Off the Air. That's tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Have a great Thursday, Quad Cities.